the silver Toyota Sequoia.
10-4.
30 on 5, B1051.
Got the goddamn light on. I'm gonna put it in reverse. Imagine law with no undercovers, just some thoughts for the mind. I take a glimpse into time, watch the blimp read the world is mine. If I rule the world, imagine that.
Once you're inside the Sequoia, you realize this vehicle has a purpose that most don't need. Everything is large, including distances. Say you're driving, you just want to change the channel, and you're not 6'4". Reaching for the tune file button requires movement, even for me. It's kind of dumb. I mean, they could have tilted it or they could have put it closer. A little impracticality there, created by this desire for size. But at the same time that, you know, things are kind of far away to reach, it also adds a little bit of usability. For example, the center console. It's really f***ing big, and it provides a large space where you can possibly have a romantic dinner, or maybe just, you know, put your Shrek-sized elbows. I don't know. And the back seat carries over this feeling of excessive space.
Like, I probably have the same amount of headroom. My legroom is just impressive. This seat right here is set up for a 6'4" person.
And I can even fit in the third row too. This is one of the few SUVs out there that can fit the 7 or 8 adults that it actually claims it can. And not only does it fit that many people, it takes them in comfort. The cushioning is nice, the leather has a near Lexus quality texture to it, and it's all easy on the eyes. If I had to complain about a few things, I'd say the soft touch materials could be used a little more generously all around, and that the cabin allows too much road noise in for me to consider it as luxurious.
And while I'm on the topic of complaining, I'd like to mention that the Toyota Sequoia has next to no room behind the third row seats, which I guess is just a price that you have to pay for having that much space for the passengers to use, but it does get slightly annoying if you're trying to travel with more than 6 people in the car and a little bit of cargo. And as usual with this large of an SUV, the gas mileage is atrocious, and you're lucky to average 14 miles to the gallon.
Now, let's move on to the driving dynamics.
It handles like a Toyota Corolla on steroids, which means it's got quite a bit of punch. When I say Toyota Corolla, it handles as if it's 3,000 pounds through the steering wheel because it's just so light. It's so assisted. It's not exactly what I would want it to be. Last week, I talked about Nate's Yukon Denali. And that Yukon, it handles at least with a little bit of heft. You know, you are aware of the weight and the size of that vehicle. With this, it is not like that. It's a nuisance to me, but you get over it. It's not that bad. The suspension absorbs bumps relatively well. It does ride like a truck, which means it's on the stiff side, and you just got to expect that. But it's really smooth. It's a smooth kind of stiff, not a riced out 2008 Mitsubishi Lancer kind of stiff, but a smooth kind of stiff, and I enjoy it. The transmission, one of my favorite features is, say you're traveling 50 miles per hour, like I am right now. The revs right now are at 1,100 RPMs. I'm gonna snap when I floor it. The transmission is actually really good in this truck. Sometimes it gets a little confused, but other times, just like I demonstrated, it is really responsive. You have this feature on here. And at first it's a little confusing. It's similar to, you know, the slap it to the side and you shift it yourself. But in this, you select the highest gear that it's willing to go in. So right now, the highest gear that it will go into is 4th. So if I shift down, that it only selects the highest gear. So if I leave it in 5th, it'll still downshift, it'll still upshift until I'm in 5th. That's a really nice add-on for somebody who tows, or if you live in the mountains, or if you live in a place where you're constantly, you know, you gas it and now you gotta wait for it to downshift and do that. No, you don't have to. You can slip it over, set the highest gear that it's willing to go into 5th rather than 6th, and your problem's solved. And the engine in this, as demonstrated earlier, I don't need to do anything else. It's got a ton of torque and it's got a ton of power. It's a bit jumpy. You hit the gas a little bit harder than usual, and you're met with a little just jerk back, and it's not the most refined thing, but it's a trade-off of having an SUV geared like a truck.
So on top of being a truck-based SUV, the Toyota Sequoia is also a Toyota, which means it's about that time to talk reliability. Personally, I don't see Toyota as this super innocent maintenance virgin manufacturer that makes no mistakes, but this Sequoia doesn't knock the Toyota name whatsoever. It's been moving for nearly 180,000 miles, and outside of your typical upkeep, this thing has just needed an oil pan. And brand prejudices aside, that's admirable. And it only adds to the truck's physical accomplishments. The second generation Toyota Sequoia is a rolling box of overbearing masculinity. If it had a tagline, it would be, "Anything you can do good, I can do while towing 2 jet skis and 5 obese kids." It truly represents American extravagance. It can carry 8 people, pull 10,000 pounds, rival Range Rovers and Jeeps off-road, smack most vehicles half its weight in a drag race, drive to the moon and back, all before needing an oil change. The Sequoia is almost flawless on paper. But I'm here to tell you that if you're thinking about buying one, you should probably reconsider how you're going to use it. Chances are you'll never tow more than 5,000 pounds in a U-Haul trailer, or use the locking differential to scale over some adolescents at lacrosse practice. In which case, the new Honda Pilot, Chevy Traverse, Mazda CX-9, Toyota Sienna, and a host of others will all suit you better. Look, I can't rag on the Sequoia. It's my idea of the perfect large truck-based SUV. The only real issue I have with the Toyota is that just a select few people actually need the added manliness of it, while the rest of its owners just want a daily testosterone boost. And on that note, I'll see you next time.